It was a sad week at Lambeau with a tough loss against the Vikings, but I'm summoning my inner Pollyanna, also known as Wayne Henderson, to keep the faith alive as we head into San Francisco to face our nemesis from last season. We'll have recaps, previews, and your listener feedback from the best community out there, all next on your Packers Fan Podcast.
That's right. This is your Packers Fan Podcast, and it's episode 213, and I want to welcome you. Wayne Henderson from MediaVoiceovers.com here with you, thanking you for investing your extra hour this week, if you got it, into listening to the show. We're still hoping this will be a fun one, which rhymes with Tunyon, which makes me wonder why our tight end suddenly claims his name is pronounced in a way that rhymes with Funyon. Personally, I think he's just messing with us.
I sure hope so. I'm Scott Clark, host of the Gaming Outsider Podcast, and I'm glad you're all here this week despite the tough-to-watch travesty of a game this weekend. But you know what? Thanks to the Bears, we still hold that number one spot in the NFC North, so silver lining and all that. On this episode, we're going to face the elephant in the room and talk about whatever that was that happened on Sunday. And you guys really brought the listener feedback even in a loss, so stay tuned for that.
And before you know it, we've already got to preview another game, Thursday's revenge match. The Packers are yet again heading out to Frisco to face the Niners instead of having them come to Lambeau Field. Scott's going to share the keys to how the Packers are going to win this time around. We've also got the crazy predictions for the final score. You never know what's going to happen. But, Scott, the question is, were there any highlights that we can talk about from this loss to the Purple Freaks?
You know, it was hard to find them, but there were. Although our defense really kind of gave us a run for our money, there was still some positive things that happened on offense, most specifically Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams, at least in the first half. Let's see, Adams had 7 receptions, 3 touchdowns, and a total of 53 yards. Rodgers was 27 of 41 for 291 yards with 3 touchdowns. He had a 110.9 quarterback rating, so those numbers are really good. We put up some good offense. We just couldn't pull through and in the final clutch moments there to pull a win here, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a good point. There were good things from the game. It was just hard to remember them because of how bad the defense was and the score. And, you know, Jamal Williams looked pretty good as well, especially early on in the game.
Yes, he did. Again, early on being the key word for most of the offense in this game because the third quarter was definitely a different story. He really has kind of proven himself to be a powerhouse for us, and I am liking him seeing that, especially he kind of stepped up when Aaron Jones was out for a little while. He's making a name for himself, and I like that we have a running game once again. It's feeling pretty good. Yeah,
the Vikings were not the only team with a running game.
They just had the far superior running game, which was, we'll get to that. I know, Wayne, you say Tunyon, I say Tunyon, tomato, potato, whatever. Either way, I did enjoy watching his catches. He had 5 of them for 79 yards, which actually was more than Davante Adams had. So he had a pretty solid game. Yeah.
It's just that Davante got the touchdowns, but one of those catches that Tunyon had was pretty wild. I can't believe he held on to the ball. It was like, what is he doing out there?
Yeah, there were some pretty cool catches. And like I said, that first quarter, I was like, all right, this is it. We're rolling in here. But then the negative things happened, specifically our run defense, which was an absolute embarrassment this week. 4 touchdowns from a single running back on the Vikings? Are you kidding me? Cook was just a beast. He was just everywhere. Every play, we just could not stop him. Why, for the love of God, can we not tackle? And not just him. We just could not tackle at all. And also, why are we lining up for a pass play on the goal line when Cook is in the backfield? Were there like 4 receivers, that one overhead shot you sent me today? It was clear that they were going for a run. I just do not understand some of the play calls there on defense.
Well, especially because the whole game has been Dalvin Cook. So, of course, we're expecting them to run it. I mean, on the off chance, they could trick us and throw the pass, but I doubt Kirk Cousins is going to do that. And we're lined up like they're sending 4 wideouts.
Seriously, and we should have been prepared for the run because, and again, I didn't have this information going into last week when I did the Keys to Victory, but this was a very windy game. I don't know if you saw some of those field goals, some of the attempts that they did pregame. there was a lot of wind at Lambeau. So clearly the Vikings were not going to be throwing the ball that often, especially when they've got a great running back in Dalvin Cook. So we should have been prepared and ready to push against the run. I just don't understand the play calling here at all.
And something tied indirectly to the game. I'm going to get up on my soapbox here.
All right, I'm going to get my popcorn.
This is a rant against the idiocy of so many Vikings fans. Not all of them, but so many of them. They're myopic and they're so excited that they finally beat us. I've seen several mentions saying they don't care if they lose all the rest of the games this season as long as they beat us. To me, that's the loser mentality right there. I mean, here's why. While they're satisfied by beating one team, and Packers fans will always have their eye on the Super Bowl instead, nothing less than the Super Bowl for us. So why some teams are happy when they just beat us, whereas we're not happy if we're not at least in the playoffs heading toward the Super Bowl, I don't know. And with fans and players like that, it explains why the stinking Vikes have never won a Super Bowl and likely never will.
So you're saying it's the fans' fault. It's the Vikings fans' fault.
No, there's some Vikings players that, according to Greg Jennings, which now is trying to come back into the Packers' good graces, Greg Jennings even said when he was a Vikings player, they were just mostly excited about beating the Packers.
Huh.
It's very, very sad.
I don't like that. I know that we rail against the Bears often, but for the most part, it's in good fun with me. I just want to see a good football game, and I want to see the Packers win. I don't like to get vindictive against other teams. I'm not one for this. Hey, it doesn't matter. We're not worried about the Super Bowl. We just want to beat this team just for spite. I'm not into it for spite. I'm into it for the love of the game, for the love of my team, and for just having a good time, chatting with buddies about the game, watching the game with family. Let's be positive.
I try.
Yeah. You do every week, Wayne. Let's also talk a little bit about the officiating. And I know this was a hot contention with a lot of people, especially in our Facebook group. But to be clear, we're going to talk about the officiating here a little bit. But this is not why we lost the game. The Packers 100% deserve this loss, especially for the travesty of a defense that maybe showed up. But that goes without saying. The officiating had nothing to do with our loss. With that said, there were a couple questionable calls. One in particular was that non-call of pass interference that just blew my mind. I just do not understand how you'd not call that. It was clear. And they threw the flag.
Right. That's the one where they threw the flag and then, nah.
Now we're just going to pick it back up. How do you
that Viking covering the Packer was not playing the ball, and he was just all over him. That was insane.
And there were some other ones, but that was the one that stood out to me. And like I say every week, I just want a fairly called game on both sides of the ball. I don't want unfair penalties in our favor. I hate when we win a game due to penalties in our favor that weren't deserved. But just give us a fair game with that. But again, I will reiterate, that is not why we lost this game. We deserve the loss. Also, going for it on 4th and 10 and later on 4th and 9. I understand it was very windy, a little maybe too windy to kick a field goal, but was it too windy to punt? I don't know. A lot of people are liking that aggression, going for it on 4th down. I've been pretty vocal about not being a fan of it, at least being that aggressive. There are moments where it makes sense, but 4th and 10 on around the 40, somewhere around the 40, on the wrong 40. I'm just not sure I'm one of those that likes that kind of aggression, but I would probably be singing a different tune if they had actually pulled it off and made it. So I just don't. I think it's too much of a risk, and we could have done that a little bit smarter.
Yeah, I hear you, Scott. And although not necessarily a deciding factor, it was a bit of a bummer that there weren't any fans in the stands at Lambeau Field on such a beautiful day, as the wind aside. I mean, whenever they showed, the field and the stands, it was just beautiful and nobody there. I mean, the Packer faithful can certainly have an impact on a game, and to see some teams around the league allowing fans in, but the Packers not able to just yet, it just hurts.
It does. It's very weird to see it empty. I've actually been at Lambeau when there were not a lot of fans in the stands. My wife ran a half marathon that ended like right outside Lambeau Field, and she did a lap around the stadium, or around the field rather. So I got to sit in there in the stands when nobody was there. It is eerie sitting in a football stadium of that size with just like a handful of people around. It's kind of cool, and it was kind of cold as well. But it's definitely odd seeing it on TV, and it just makes that crowd noise seem that much more fake.
Amen to that. Let's check in now with the listener feedback. Remember, give us a call after we beat the Niners on Thursday night at 920-3PACK-GO, or from anywhere in the world. You can focus your thoughts, record your message on your phone or computer, attach it to an email, and send it to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com, and just get it to us by midnight on Sunday. Of course, with the game being Thursday night, a.k.a. Friday morning for our friends overseas. Call us right after the game while it's fresh in your mind, like our good friend Andre in L.A.
That was rough. Andre in L.A.
Oh no.
What was that? What was that? I've been saying for the past few weeks, the run defense is a problem. Kirk Cousins only threw the ball like 14 times today. The jury's out. Everyone knows now. Teams can run on us. We have to do better. That was a tough loss. I'm going to try to end it. I have no comments. It was just no run defense. Nobody showed up. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was good, but very disappointed today. Still green and gold till I'm dead and cold. Hopefully next week I can give you a go pack go, but I'm really bummed. Or at least I had Cook in my fantasy league. But green and gold till I'm dead and cold. Still love you guys. I'm disappointed.
Andre, we love you too, and we thank you so very much for the phone call, even after loss. And yeah, for whatever reason, this loss hurt a lot more than the other one. So we totally understand. And is that true that Kirk Cousins might have only thrown the ball 14 times? What is he, Jimmy Garoppolo?
Wayne, I don't know what's more depressing, the fact that we lost this game or that we did not get even a hint of a glorious go pack go from Andre.
Well,
that was,
the reason behind that is the Packers defense. It's their fault.
I know, but it's just not a Packers Fan Podcast episode without Andre shouting in our ears and blasting our eardrums. And I really hope we can turn that around next week. Seriously, I miss Andre's voice that loud.
Yes, but it is still good to hear from him. And yeah, we just kind of got to join in with the catharticness of it all and just wash it out. We'll be better. We're heading to Frisco. We'll see.
We'll see.
Hey, it's Megan. It's like 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock. I don't know, daylight savings time. It's after the game, and you got to be kidding me. I did not think they were going to lose this game, but I have Pete with me, and he keeps me like optimistic, like as Wayne Henderson, like eternally optimistic. And yeah, that is weird, but I don't know. I don't know if it was the weather, the wind, the cold. I mean, I know Aaron loves the cold, but I felt like the first quarter was like 100% run game, and then like after that it was not much of a lot. I mean, that one pass to Bobby was like pretty freaking sick down the field, but then they didn't like take advantage of it or capitalize on it. That was kind of sucked. But I say this as if I could do better, and I still love them, and I'm just like not trying to live in Minnesota right now, because Minnesota, like all the Vikings fans are gonna be like, oh, the Packers suck, and like, okay, you guys are 2-5. Like, here's Pete.
Flip on the radar is what I gotta say. More adversity. Still believe in the green and gold. Have to.
This is soil, baby.
This is a solid squad. We learned a little bit about playing from behind. We haven't had to play from behind for a while. So
this year?
Mm-hmm.
At all?
So we had a predominantly passing attack because we were playing from behind, and they knew that. But, yeah, I mean, we're still one play away. If Aaron doesn't get sacked or fumbled on that last play, who knows? That might be going in the end zone for the win. So, despite the challenges, still well positioned. I'm still optimistic. 4 days until we play on Thursday night. But bring on the Niners, baby!
Yes, let's make a difference from last year NFC Championship, baby. Let's Go Pack Go till we're dead and cold.
Loyal
Forever. Hell of a game. I really wanted to bring that up. Matt LaFleur's comment. Love these guys. Love Aaron Rodgers.
Rest up. Short week.
Always.
Thanks so much, Megan and Pete. Always good to hear from you guys. Pete keeping Megan positive. That's a good thing. I love the little comments in there. I think she got her sayings in there a little mixed up, which had me laughing, chuckling a little bit. I like what Pete said about blip on the radar. That is just a blip on the radar. This was a tough loss, but we are going to learn from it. We're going to move on. At least we hope the Packers will. And learn about playing from behind. We haven't had to do that a lot this season. We haven't had the heart attack pack for most of this year. We've been kind of living on that luxury a little bit, so it's time to buckle down and keep that from happening in the future.
Yes, because early in the fourth quarter, got a text message from Sir Troy Heinrich saying, okay, I've taken my heart medication. I'm ready. Because the heart attack pack, we're back.
Hey, guys. Mark from New Lisbon. Tough loss today. Hard to believe we lost to a 1-5 team, but the Vikings had lost a couple 1-point games, and you just knew a divisional game, it was going to be tough. So I just have a lot of questions about our defense. It seems like we have individual talent. If you have Kenny Clark and the Smith brothers and Jerry Alexander, but Patton just doesn't seem to be able to put it all together. He's not a good coach at making adjustments. As he proved in both San Francisco games last year, he didn't make adjustments really at halftime, any apparent adjustments. So it's not all on Patton, but it just seems over the years that coaches' loyalties, our head coaches' loyalties, with McCarthy and now before, their loyalties to bad coaches have cost us a lot. Dom Capers was way past his prime, and we hung on to him. Sean Slocum was a horrible a horrible special teams coach, and McCarthy hung on to him. And it appears LaFleur is pretty loyal to Patton, and that's costing us. So, over the years, it's kind of had its toll on us in the playoffs. That we've been exposed for our weaknesses, and whether it was defense or special teams. But positives, I really like LaFleur's red zone offense. When we're inside the 10 especially, there's a lot of misdirection, and we just always get an open receiver in the end zone. So he's very creative, unlike McCarthy. So I like that with LaFleur. As far as next Thursday, or this Thursday, boy, we can't stop the run, and Kyle Shanahan's run offense is about as complex and effective as any in the league. So we're going to have a tough time. But I'm optimistic. I think Rodgers usually bounces back after a loss. And the 49ers have shown they have some vulnerabilities as well. So that's a big game on Thursday. We need to prove that we can take care of the team that blew us out twice last year. So that would be a big win. So thanks for taking my call, and go Pack Go, and we'll talk to you next week.
Awesome. Looking forward to hearing from you again next week, Mark. Thank you for your call this week. And yes, on the surface, it is very hard to believe we lost to a 1-5 team, Scott.
It really is. That one stings a little bit more than it should.
I've been down for 24 hours. I know it's just a football game and whatever, and a blip on the radar, like Megan and Pete said, but wow. But Mark, you made some great points about, how we really do like LaFleur's red zone offense, but our head coach might have too much loyalty to defensive coordinators.
Possibly. We seem to hang on to him for quite a long time. I don't know if that's just a fear of, getting out of a rhythm, but I feel like every year we're always complaining about the defensive coordinator and questioning whether he should be in that position. And we just stick with him and keep doing what we're doing. It's worked out for us sometimes. We did win a Super Bowl, so we won many, obviously, but was it 2011? We won, we kept it going, but I don't know. And again, this is one game. Our defense was looking pretty decent. We had some holes here and there, but not nearly the Swiss cheese that we had this week. Yeah. It was just ridiculous.
It was ridiculous indeed. And of course, the 49ers are known for their run game, but weren't they effectively shut down yesterday. I forget who it was that played them, but I think they had troubles. So
it was the Seahawks.
They've lost one game, but they're still ahead of everybody in the NFC. So they need to play. Who beat them? The Cardinals? Maybe they need to beat the Cardinals again, or play the Cardinals again.
Which was a crazy loss, by the way.
Very much so.
Hey guys, Art from Texas. Well, it was a pretty disappointing loss. I don't know what to say. To me, it's the same thing again. Defensive line. That's what we need. Keep going back to the same thing. I think we should have drafted defensive linemen during the draft. But I think they should have gotten Kenny Clark some help. I don't know how far this defensive line will take us, but still there's a lot of hope. The offense, well, they had their little miscues, but I'm sure they'll be fine, and we'll get to the playoffs. And hopefully they can pick it up and work on little issues here and there. But the defensive line hopefully can improve and get better through the season. But we'll see what happens. Thank you guys for your podcast. Get in gold till I'm dead and cold. Bye.
Thanks so much, Art, for your call. It just really bums me out hearing all of the just downtrodden Packers fans calling in. I know it was a loss, guys. It was a heartbreaking loss. We're going to get past it. I hate to be the Wayne here and just trying to talk some positivity in everybody. This is usually Wayne's job. We're still in first place, guys. We're still going to be – we've got a pretty good matchup this week. We've got a possibility to keep that spot. Let's keep the faith. Let's keep the positivity going. There's lots of football season left. We are far from down and out. At this point, all we're missing out on right now is that number 1 seed, and we still have a crack at it. So don't let yourself get down in the dumps. This is going to be a good season for us. I like what he said about getting Kenny Clark some help. Yeah, it seems like Kenny Clark was the only name that really stood out in a positive way on the defense. Although I think Alexander did get a sack, which felt pretty good, and the offense did look pretty good. I was talking about those numbers earlier. I know we can't win on an offense alone. That's not the only way to win a football game. We have to have both sides of the ball. But let's look at the positives. We got some positive things going there, and we just need to tighten things up on defense.
Well, that's a good point. I'm just not sure if we can fix the defense quick enough. It might, at least for this season, it might be a case of we just need to score a heck of a lot more points on offense and make it a shootout every week. If we're having troubles on defense, our offense might just have to put the team on their back like they've done in years past. I mean, sure, I'd like a balanced team. That'd be very nice. And Art, it's good to hear from you, win or lose. I totally understand the disappointment. And of course, these calls, almost all of them came in within an hour of the game ending. So the disappointment, I know I was thinking, how on earth am I going to do a podcast this week? The stinking Vikings. I need to talk about us losing to the Vikings.
Hey, if you didn't come to this podcast, you would have missed out on talking to me this week, Wayne.
That's why I came. Plus, I knew that we're going to be talking about an awesome game this coming Thursday night.
Yeah, for sure.
Hi, guys. This is Hank from TPE Network, home of the Mandalorian Fan Podcast, calling in to talk about that 2-point conversion. While they got it, when the announcer said that the numbers say they should go for it, I was like, no, don't do this. Just because I thought if you don't get it, now you put even more pressure on yourself. Yes, I get you have a 50-50 shot, but I just thought it was kind of risky at the moment. However, they ended up converting it, but it could have been a huge gamble. I know the metrics are there for that, but I was just curious, what did you guys think at that moment? I remember raising my voice and just saying, no, don't follow these metrics. And then they converted, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. You have Aaron Rodgers on the team. Even though he wasn't pivotal in that exact play, still a good reason to go for it. You know who is undefeated? The Packers Fan Podcast. 213-0. Undefeated. So if Wayne would have predicted that the Packers Fan Podcast would be undefeated, he would be correct. Win, lose, or draw, absolutely love the podcast. Top sports podcast in my book. Thank you so much for doing it. Great podcast and a great community. I'll catch you next time.
That was epic. Hank Davis, thank you so much for that voicemail. It's good to know we are undefeated, 213-0 over 10 years. It's been quite a run. Great to hear from you. And definitely, folks, if you're watching The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, check out the Mandalorian Fan Podcast. Great stuff. And what do you think, Scott, about Hank's point about that 2-point conversion?
I had the exact same thought process that he did. I was like, this does not make any sense. The more I thought about it, it started to make a little bit of sense because they were kind of in desperation mode at that point. So if they had converted it, the mentality would have been, all right, now all we have to do is get a touchdown and we win this game. So to some degree, I started to get it because you're not really fighting for that second touchdown the same way. Your mindset's not exactly the same. You're trying to tie the game at that point. But now you get that score, it's all over, and you walk away with the W. So it seems less risky in that mindset because I've still got to do 2 scores, so it's not as risky to me. Does that make sense?
It does make total sense, but I'm actually going the other way on it. I was stunned and shocked because even though I'm known as Mr. Positivity Packers Fan Podcast with the rose-colored glasses, but I thought, oh my goodness, we just need to get the extra point unless we were so afraid that, because of the wind that we're going to miss the kick. I just thought, go for it, get the extra point, be down by 7, and then hopefully then tie it up, play for overtime. It was another probably Matt LaFleur bold move. Thankful it worked. The replays, thankfully, were pretty definitive that the tip of the ball did cross the line, so we didn't have any, thing to cry about there, or there's nothing the Vikings fans can cry about there. It just worked out.
Right. Absolutely. Also, how awesome was that Mandalorian episode? Season 2, episode 1.
Yeah, we can't give away any spoilers, but it was, that was pretty strong. That's a great way to open up a season.
Yes.
Yeah, you might hear a few more details from me when I sent in listener feedback to the Mandalorian Fan Podcast. So check that out. And thanks again, Hank, the future voice of NFL films, as Dallin Christensen titled him way back in the day. Still holds true. Our weekly poll in our Facebook group at PackersCommunity.com and on Twitter at PackersFanPod. What can the Packers most realistically fix in time to get back to winning games? Defense? Get David Bakhtiari and Aaron Jones healthy? Or get another wide receiver because the trade deadline, deadline's tomorrow. What do you think,
As of this
Scott?
recording.
As of this recording. By the time you hear it, maybe we've got 3 new wide receivers. Who knows?
Who knows? I'm going to go with the defense. I know that we've got a short week. There's just 4 days before the game, and it was pretty rough, but it was also just one game. We had some holes, like I said before, but there's plenty that could be fixed between now and then. And I think that the injuries plaguing the 49ers right now will work in our favor and will give us a chance to patch that up this week. And then we get a nice long break before the game after that. So I'm going to say defense for sure.
Okay. And I'm going to go with just getting David Bakhtiari and Aaron Jones as healthy as possible. I know that doesn't help the defense in stopping the run, but it might help us to be able to outscore the opponent no matter what the defense happens to be playing like at the time. And the votes that came in were 44% did say defense, 32% voted and said get David Bakhtiari and Aaron Jones healthy, and 13% said get another wide receiver.
We also had some comments from the poll. First off, Dictus in the Netherlands voted Bakhtiari and Jones getting healthy. He says, I have zero confidence they'll get this run defense fixed. There are zero signs in that direction and not changing a thing, but expecting different results usually does not work. A wide receiver isn't going to change a thing. Sure, a great WR2 or even a decent WR3 would help some, but that would not have changed the outcome today or against the Bucs. The offense was put in a bad position by the D today and was out of whack the second half. Lazard back would help a bit, but Rodgers was off on a couple of gimmies again this week. They've shown they can fire when distributing the ball, so I don't see how one wide receiver signing can magically fix this. The defense sucks at tackling. Oh, and also tackling. So frustrating. To clarify, yeah, a wide receiver would help, but signing any starter will help every team. I don't think we've lost this game or the Bucs game because we missed one piece on offense. The defense, or lack thereof, is killing us. And the offense was at its best when the quick pass run combination setting up a PA deep ball. Rodgers was looking deep without result too much. I feel they got forced or felt forced out of the game script. It could have, if I could pick and choose, it would obviously be the run D, but the poll is about realistically fixing things. I just don't see that happening.
Exactly. And Jacob commented saying, ugh, I hate voting for this because I felt vindicated over the first couple of weeks, but I think that we need another playmaker at wide receiver. MVS has disappeared once again, and although we're getting some good contributions from the running backs and tight ends in the passing game, it just feels like there are no other dependable playmakers. Close second is run defense. We got 2 stops at the end. What did that change? What took so long for them to get the stops on Cook? There's some fixing that needs to be done, and they are long-term problems that are glaring when the right team needs to show up to face us.
Very well said.
Thank you very much for those and emails. Very much related to the poll question, Jared Michini Kerr. Here are the stats that characterize the game. Dalvin Cook rushed for 163 yards, plus another 63 in the air, totaling 226 yards of offense by just one single player against our defense. And he scored 4 touchdowns with that rushing attack, setting a Vikings franchise record for the most touchdowns by a running back in a single game. If that narrative sounds familiar, it should. I believe this is the 3rd or 4th time that our defense has allowed a running back to set a franchise record because of awful defensive play. Ooh, yikes, Jared. That's scary. With the obvious out of the way, the offense played mostly perfect, barring those 2 drives that killed our momentum. However, we cannot expect to win games with the consistency being the bad run defense. Our offensive attack has been mostly championship level this particular season, but even the offenses slip up from time to time. Our defense cannot pull the offense in a situation and play perfect football every drive of the game. It's just not going to happen most of the time, and that showed today. The first half was a picturesque example of all of this. The offense played lights out with a 16-minute scoring drive, and it was negated just a few plays later with a running back attack of Dalvin Cook tying the game going into the half. All the Vikings needed was the Green Bay offense to slip up just enough for Cook to take care of the rest. Anywho, that's my 2 cents. I don't want to sound completely down. Rodgers threw for 291 yards, 3 TDs, and no interceptions. And although Adams was the star with all the ranking with all 3 TDs, Tunyon led the pack with 75 receiving yards. All in all, Rodgers threw to 10 different targets today, which I think is a huge improvement in terms of sharing the love. On the ground, the pack rushed for 106 yards, with the bulk of that being shared by Jamal Williams and A.J. Dillon, having what I believe is his most productive game to date. And Jared wraps up by saying, "Go, Pack, go! Green and gold till dead and cold." We've seen the pack put together a few complete games of football this season. I'll be cheering for them to have another complete performance every week.
Nicely put. Thank you for the email. We also got one from a very angry Stephen Verheeren, who says he's checking in. And what the heck inspired the Packers to play a garbage second half against a team coming into the game 1-5? It's the first time that Matt LaFleur has lost to a division rival, which is an interesting fact. Did the win have something to do with the game? And a fumble to end the game? Now the Packers have a quick turnaround as they are playing this upcoming Thursday night against the San Francisco 49ers. And now I am seeing in the Packers Facebook group that Mike Pettin might be on the hot seat. So, Scott, you are going to have to think very carefully on your keys for a victory over the Niners. Think about this. You have to go back to the 2018 season when Mike McCarthy was still the head coach of the Packers and Matt LaFleur was the offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans for the last time the Packers beat the 49ers. Hey, Scott, have you had any meals at Culver's lately? No, I have not, actually. I need to go back. It's right here, Wayne. I just don't go. I know I have said the Pack have never lost 2 games in a row under Matt LaFleur, but with this loss, it's now making me nervous about Thursday night. I hope that the Packers will play better against the 49ers than they did in today's blankety-blank game. Stephen Verheeren. Thanks, Stephen.
Also, hey, Wayne and Scott, it's Caleb Cathy and Roy Fisher from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Boy, what a disappointment. We couldn't believe we had the lead, and then it seemed we couldn't get anything going in the second half, not to mention letting Dalvin Cook score 3 times. We couldn't even stop the 49er run game. Another thing that's disappointing, that there were a lot of penalties that should have been called on the Vikings but weren't, especially that pass interference in the end zone last play of the game. But we have to brush this off, get ready for the Niners this Thursday. I hope we are ready. Until next time, go Pack Go. Bleed green and gold till dead and cold. Caleb, Kathy, and Roy Fisher.
Thank you, Fishers. Also from the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community group, Scott Bors posted a really cool video of the first grade distance learning module for physical education. It was awesome. It had all these like story problems and physical education deals to do that were all Packers themed. It was a lot of fun to watch, so be sure to check that out.
They do it right in Wisconsin. They do. Superfan Aaron Peterson, I refuse to hear any refs talk. Green Bay lost this game through and through.
It's a fair point. Also, Travis wonders, why do we spend all our efforts on defense? Draft defense, trade for defense, sign defense, free agents, and it's always our defense that can't stop our runny nose. LOL. I agree. Thank you all so much for your calls, emails, comments, and support. If you too would like to join the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community and be a part of the conversation, head over to packerscommunity.com, especially on game day for our live game discussion thread. That's always a lot of fun, lots of good conversations going on over there, and we kind of do like a play-by-play as we go through there.
And now, it's a short week for your 5-2 Green Bay Packers as they're going to be traveling to San Fran to face the hated 4-4 49ers. Thursday night, November 5th at 7:20 p.m. Central Time. The Packers-Niners all-time stacks up like this. Packers lead the series 36-32 and 1 tie. Please don't let there be a tie this particular week. Green Bay has won 11 of the 14 past matchups against the Niners dating back to 96. This is the first Thursday night matchup between the Packers and the Niners in NFL history. And we are the historic team, so let's take care of business. And it's the first time the Packers have played at San Francisco in back-to-back years since the 73-74 season. And what's funny about that, Scott, is it seems like it's been 3 or 4 years in a row.
It seems like it, doesn't it?
Oh, my goodness. This is really the first. Wow. Well, we need to get the Niners back to Lambeau next year. Maybe in the playoffs, but it's not looking good for San Fran, so there. The NFC playoff chase is already shaping up, making this year's matchup practically a must-win, especially with the Hawks winning yet again. And word just a couple hours ago is that rookie running back A.J. Dillon tested positive for COVID-19. I'm still hoping against hope that this might be one of those false positives that a bunch of other NFL players have come across. Either way, it's too early to tell how this might affect the rest of the running backs on the Packers as well as our offense. Scary news, right, Scott?
Very much scary news. And, heart out to him and hope that he's healthy. Not just for winning reasons, but for, people reasons.
Absolutely. And then late this afternoon, Tom Pelissero posted out a partial list of 49 players that they're having a disastrous run of injuries as well. These are some of the 49ers that are either on injured reserve or probably hitting there soon. Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, tight end George Kittle, Nick Bosa, Richard Sherman, among others. And now I don't see the running, a couple of running backs, but not the main running back listed. But they're having issues as well. If there's a week for us to win, I think this might be it. The weather this week in Frisco is going to be clear and, dark, thanks to the time change. It's going to be about 71 degrees at kickoff. Can I get a go, Pack, go?
71 degrees at night in November? That doesn't compute in my head, in my Midwestern brain.
I understand. They are right on the ocean, though, and that kind of helps those kinds of things.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to my keys to a Packers victory at Lambeau Field. First off, I feel like I say this more than any other key to a victory on multiple weeks. Avoid overconfidence. If we learned anything about our loss to the Vikings, it should be this. We can't be overconfident. Yes, the Niners are severely banged up. Yes, our offense is looking incredible, but we have to go into this game with a must-win mindset, as it's our most important game of the season yet. This one has serious seeding possibilities, and we've struggled against this team in recent years. Take a playoff mindset with this game.
It's my bad for the overconfidence last week. I poo-pooed your key to victory about being overconfident last week. But I have learned from my mistake, we will not be overconfident, especially how all the other trips have gone to California over the past year and a half. So, yes, listen to Scott. Packers.
Yeah, avoid that overconfidence for sure. Secondly, for the love of God, tackle. Please, we absolutely cannot afford to be run over on the ground again this week. After our performance against Minnesota, the Niners are sure to exploit our exposed weakness and try to capitalize on it. Just plug it up, guys. Seriously, plug it up. And my third one is going to basically be a repeat of last week, attack through the air. Despite the outcome last week, we did put up solid numbers on offense, especially with our passing game. The Niners have struggled against teams with a powerful passing game, so this should be our number one goal this week. Spread the ball, advance after the catch, and strike hard, fast, and early. And there you have it.
Fantastic keys to victory, Scott. Thank you so much for those. And yes, I mean, here in California, I know they're Northern California, but still, it's warm, as we mentioned earlier. But this coming Friday or Saturday is when winter is going to actually start arriving for California, or maybe just a false alarm. I mean, by Sunday, we are going to drop 35 degrees from
35
the high.
degrees down to what, 40, 50? Like
Sunday, let's just say today, 88 degrees. Sunday, maybe 51. That's a pretty drastic shift. And we might even get free water falling out of the sky Friday and part of Saturday and Sunday. It's something we need and haven't seen forever. So with that being said, it still should be dry Thursday night, and the Packers can have that air attack that you mentioned being a key to victory.
For
Go,
sure.
Pack, go. Well, we don't get any points in our wager of fun because we both picked a Packers victory last week, and it didn't happen.
I would have won for the differential, though, but it doesn't count because we both picked them to win. So what are you going to do?
Try again. How are we looking this week against the 49ers? What say you?
Well, before we get to the points, let's just see where we stand. You're still sitting at 3. I'm sitting at 2, so I am right behind you, man. So you better get those vocal cords warmed up because I am coming for you.
Oh, no.
I'm going to say this game's going to be pretty close, actually. I'm still going to give the Packers the edge with a 24-21 victory. I think that they're going to pass through the air, but it's going to be very, very close. What do you say?
I think it's going to be another heart attack game as well. I wish that it wouldn't be, especially against the hated Niners, but it's going to be. The Packers are going to win. Believe it or not, I'm picking them to win again, but it's going to be a shocker. I know. It's going to be close. I say Packers only 21 points, and the 49ers will be lucky to get 17.
All right. Packers are favored, but not by much. I think the last time I looked at the line, it was like 1.5 or 2.5. It keeps floating back and forth. That number dropped drastically after the loss to Minnesota this week for sure.
I could almost feel it falling, like the temperatures are going to fall here. I can't believe we're favored, but in our hearts and minds, they're always favored. The NFC North, as you alluded to earlier, Packers are in first place, baby. 5-2 beats out the Bears, who are 5-3. Lions, though, surprisingly 3-4, and the Vikings are 2-5. Sure, they beat us, but 2-5. Quite frankly, that stinks. I don't want to hear any skull. That's stupid. It's more like lol.
It's you using your acronyms. All right. Well, we didn't see too much happen in other games this week. I know Wayne had a family thing going on. However, did you see that idiot Bears player punch a Saint player for absolutely no reason? He was ejected, probably suspended. How do you think that's a good idea? I just can't.
I can't fathom. Yes, exactly. And right before coming upstairs to record the podcast, he was suspended for 2 games without pay, and rightfully so. They must have some sort of past history. I don't know if it involved girlfriends or something, but to come up behind him and kind of like tap him on the shoulder almost, and then just cold cock him, and then he's looking around kind of stunned, and then hit him again. I'm surprised he wasn't suspended for the rest of the season. That was
seriously
just insane.
And what good does it do to smack somebody when they're wearing a helmet? Like, really, what are you doing?
Well, yeah, there's that too.
It just doesn't make any sense.
No, but the Bears.
I got a question, Wayne.
Yes.
Do you like video games?
I do love some Pokemon Go and some Harry Potter Wizards Unite. Yes, indeed. And
all right,
pinball, but that doesn't count as a video game until you get me playing virtual pinball on a new iPad.
I will sooner or later. I'm going to do that. But hey, if you love video games as much as I do have another podcast called The Gaming Outsider where we chat about my favorite hobby every week for a couple hours. On our upcoming episode, we are answering questions from the community and discussing a list of 8 new games that we've played, including Watch Dogs Legion, which is a huge game that came out this past week. I would love it if you checked it out. It would mean a lot to me to hear from you. Our website is thegamingoutsider.com. And also, while you're there on the website, if you're looking for some early Christmas gifts or holiday gift shopping, check out the site for some of our handmade Packers Fan Podcast masks. Want to keep yourself safe from COVID? Want to do it in style and let everybody know that you're listening to the best Packers Fan Podcast out there? Head over to thegamingoutsider.com/thegocast. They are handmade by me, and Wayne can attest, they are pretty comfortable.
They are comfortable. They do catch people's eyes when I pull up to the drive-thru and around town. Packers. Oh, that's right. You're that podcast guy. Also, check out our pretty darn cool, if I may say so myself, Packers Fan Podcast, our new 2-sided shirts. We've talked about them before, but we have those as well as coffee mugs available for sale. These would make spectacular Christmas gifts themselves. Check the link in the show notes and at PackersFanPodcast.com.
Not only do we love podcasting, but we also love value, and we assume that you do as well. And our Patreon community is a place for you to get value for your extra dollars. All of your pledges over there are reinvested into making the show better for you, as well as periodic Patreon perks like Packers Fan Podcast stickers, window clings, buttons, shout-outs in the show, and even shirts at the higher levels. So we've got some shout-outs to give right here. First off, Packers great Willie Wood made wearing number 24 look cool. And Bryant, who makes financially supporting your Packers Fan Podcast at the Willie Wood $24 level, looks super cool as well. Thank you so much, Bryant, and go Pack Go. And also, how about them Texas-only Green Bay Packers fanatics? Future Hall of Famer MVPs right there. Thanks, and go Pack Go to all for your AR-12-inspired $12 monthly Patreon support.
And the $4 Brett Favre-inspired monthly Patreon support. Those call for more Go Pack Goes as well. We want to welcome brand new Favre-tastic supporter Andre in LA, as well as Lawrence Harvey and Jeff Summerfield. Thank you so much for that. And Go Pack Goes. And Curly Lambeau, number 1 himself in our hearts and our souls, and the founder of the Packers and all the good things that he did for the team. He has his own Go Pack Go shout-outs as well at the $1 Curly Lambeau's podcast support level. Remy Lavictoire, Matt Haig, Joe Christensen, Beth Mintick, and Hank Davis, who you heard earlier from the TPE network of podcasts. You too can financially support the show at a level to match your budget. Details are at patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. And we totally understand if it's not in your budget at this time, and if it isn't, that's fine too. Scott and I are just grateful that you listen to the shenanigans here on the podcast each week. Thank you for listening in, sharing your posts, calling in your feedback, commenting on posts in social media and other places around on the web as well. Everything you do is awesome and never taken for granted. So I want to say that you rock.
Also, Wayne needs a hug, so please send him a virtual hug. He really is bummed out this week. So please give him a hug.
Receiving them now. The Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers. And remember to have our voicemail feedback hotline number so that you too can call us right after that Niners game at 920-3PACK-GO. That's 920-3PACK-GO. Share all your favorite things from the game, and we'll share them on the show.
Also, guys, we are on Twitter. Our handle is at PackersFanPod. If you'd like to get a hold of me, my handle is at GoCastScott, and Wayne's is at Wayne Henderson. Do us a favor also, if you can, please tell all your friends to give us a listen. It is Packers Fan Podcast. And speaking of friends, it's the Texas-only Green Bay Packers fanatics to take us. Get ready to beat the Niners this time.
This is Dawn down here in Texas, a.k.a. Granny Cheese.
Hi, I'm James.
Hi, I'm Kim.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Hi, I'm Susan.
Hi, I'm Carrie.
Hi, I'm Lisa Montgomery, and we want to say,
Go Pack Go!